That's also for sale outside if you like. Thank you, Helen. Nice to see so many of you, brothers and sisters, after many, many years of this particular journey. Very happy also, my dear friends in Malaysia, Indrani and Margatu and Dato, all of whom have been also great inspirations for me. Dinner speeches are usually very difficult because you have to compete with two things. One, if it's during dinner, you have to compete with good cuisine. And if it's before dinner, you have to compete with rumbling stomachs that are looking at food in front of them, but technically not allowed to devour them. If you really are hungry, don't be afraid. Put whatever is in front of you in your mouth. I will not mind this. The rise and fall of civilization is very much the story of stuff, of resources, of production, of the way in which we manage very often economics and manage ecology, manage our relationships with each other. And if we take Mother Earth, that's Gaia in Greek, and Mother Earth incidentally has become United Nations terminology. Because normally we say, well, when people talk about Mother Earth, it's very nice, it's just some goody-goody thing. Yeah? No, it's actually now official UN terminology, and there is now an International Mother Earth Day. They took Earth Day on April the 22nd, and by a unanimous resolution of the United Nations General Assembly, we now have an International Mother Earth Day. And not only have you got International Mother Earth Day, another phenomenal, you can say, paradigm shift has occurred. And that is as a result of the work of the Bolivian government, where they brought in over 1,000 organizations and individuals from all over the world. And we now have a declaration, a universal declaration on the rights of Mother Earth. And that is a major transformation from after World War II, when we spent so much time killing each other. We had the Declaration of Human Rights. Now we have the Declaration of the Rights of Mother Earth, which is really amazing. And in a way, it indicates the kind of transformational change we are facing. That there are forces that are beginning to see that life is more than just ourselves. That life is also a greater connectivity, a connectivity between ourselves, but also with Mother Earth, which nourishes us and which gives us life, ultimately. So this amazing paradigm shift. And if we talk about Gaia, or Mother Earth, as being, let's say, 50 years old, we, the consumers, is what we call nowadays the consumers, people who buy used things, associated largely with, you can say, the Industrial Revolution and so-called products that were put on sale. If we take Mother Earth as 50 years, we are talking about the last 60 seconds. Just the last 60 seconds. In these last 60 seconds, we've also seen an amazing transformation in the world. The kind of transformation that this declaration on Mother Earth is trying to reverse, trying to control. During this time, we had a paradigm shift in terms of the way in which we used up resources in the world. We began to have all kinds of amazing products all over the world, the same kinds of products, and a whole culture very often that made you buy things which you did not need with money that you did not have. It's an amazing, amazing world. And we see the results of this now in a global economic crisis, an amazing economic where you can find the worst of what now we label as casino capitalism, and particularly the whole business of the way in which finance and money has been managed globally. An interesting book is Treasure Islands. See how major corporations and other people hide their money in tax havens all over the world, and this way avoid paying tax in their own country, avoid doing some of the things that they have otherwise got to be doing. Perhaps we need something like what CI or IOQ at that time did, where we started banning products that are banned in one country should not go to another country without prior informed consent. We need maybe to have far more regulations in the way in which money moves around the world, because there is, as you know, a kind of large financial mafia and very influential. That's why it's very good that financial services is one of the 5 priority areas for CI, because that's one of the big struggles, and the worst of, you can say, the economic system has been displayed by this particular aspect, the way in which, particularly last few years, we see how banks were operating, how chief executives' salaries were going, despite the fact that the banks were practically getting bankrupt, but not the chief executives. And the links between banks and corporations, when in fact banks were trustees of people's money, just a transformational change. Then you had ecology, and we know how we have killed so many species. We know the impact on air, the impact on forest. We know about climate change, and now people use the word ecocide. Ecocide, the way in which the globe is operating in terms of its relationship with the environment, is moving towards self-destruction. And these are many of the concerns that people have now. And like they say, the frog was put into warm water that is warming, he doesn't realize it until the very end. Because he just says it's just getting a little bit warmer. In the end, you die. And transformational change in terms of many things in climate and ecology are moving at very rapid changes. So that's going to be another very big issue. And the third is, of course, equity. And these are the vast differences in terms of places in the world between people's incomes that's creating an outrage all over the world. And so you have a whole new phenomena that, like the consumer movement, is again displaying itself in strong, assertive ways. You have the Arab Spring, you have the Occupy movement, you have the what in Spain they call the indignados, is it? The indignant to see the rottenness of the system that is currently operating, where poor people, thousands and millions of them die, but we don't seem to have any problem with regard to the fastest growing military machine in the world, where the amount of money spent on armaments has just gone, skyrocketed in a way, and the new kinds of ways of battles are fought with drones, where you fight wars like as if you are fighting, you're playing games at home, and just click, and then you can kill somebody, and anybody else who happen to be around is just collateral damage. So this is the new, you can say, paradigm shift in a way in all 3 areas, in economics, in ecology, and in equity, that is challenging us, and that's going to challenge Helen and her new job as the head of Consumers International. Now, for every movement like the consumer movement, you don't have much life unless you have a soul and a spirit that asserts itself. And movements, if they want to keep that name, have constantly to fuel this energy, this fire, you can say. Very often the term that is used is common fire. The fire in your belly, the kind of move that arises out of the fact that you find things in society that are not right. There are people who are being exploited. There are systems that are being exploited. So for the global consumer movement, something very special happened. Because we were a movement that, of course, had a job to do. We were concerned about the way consumers were being dealt with. We needed all kinds of protection systems and so on. But we lacked a clarion call. We lacked a slogan. Slogan is a Scottish word. Nowadays it just becomes trite. Political parties have a slogan, maybe corporations have a slogan for some of their products and so on. But the origin of this word is amazing. It's a Gaelic word, and it was a war cry. A war cry which, when you had battles and so on, they will cry out this word. And the purpose of this slogan was two. One is to make all of us feel together, the sense of solidarity, and the other was to frighten the enemy. It had two very important purposes, this slogan. So it's a war cry. And movements, if they are going to be movements, that is, they're going to move and be movers and shakers, they have to have that kind of common fire. And for us, in the consumer movement, when we started in different parts of the world, congregated in Holland, formed the International Organization of Consumers Union on April the 1st, April Fool's Day. And then, now Consumers International. Just 2 years after we formed, one spark that lighted this common fire enabled us to move in a totally different way. And that was on March the 15th, when President Kennedy, a young person who had campaigned on consumer issues, made a statement, a message to the US Congress. And this message was dramatic. It was as a result of a lot of work, detailed work into analysis of what the consumer movement was all about. And it was the first time that a head of state had made such a powerful message in such a powerful way. Because normally there's a tendency for people who are already in office to make things in the softest general way. This was very different. And it was very interesting. If some of you are interested, it's a 1-hour lecture. Just the detailed discussions that took place by the group that was preparing this important message. It took weeks, and a lot of the leaders of the consumer movement, Colston Warren, the founder of Consumers, the first president of Consumers Union United States, and later the first president of Consumers International, was part of the team, who all contributed ideas. And when they were discussing a new program for consumer protection, the two persons primarily involved. One person's name had the word lamp in his name. It's the lamp man. He was a professor. He was the ghostwriter of this speech. The lamp man. And the other was somebody whose name was March. M-A-R, to March. March, go March, and then change. Interesting, these two persons. And he was the one who said, well, we're looking for this, but we seem to miss something. Why don't we get the consumer movement into the rights debate and make this movement a rights movement? Because we're talking about